jumped up, his eyes flashing. He made a quick lunge, cutting the enemy's weapon. The killer looked at the broken blade in fear. Lloyd opened his eyes, awakened by a scream. The young man stood up and watched in surprise as the knight knocked the intruder to the floor. The next day, the protagonist stood and watched the construction of pipes. He loudly asked what was the most important thing in any enterprise. The workers answered in unison that safety was above all. A knight approached the brown-haired man and said that he had passed the information on to Viscount Racona. The aristocrat turned around and praised him. The swordsman looked at the gentleman and asked the reason why the killer attacked him. The hero put his hand on his belt and assumed that it was because the Viscount, who had spent a lot of money on water, fired him first. The guy shrugged and said that he would have done the same. He is paid well, but he does not fulfill his duties. Lloyd said that the man attacked him to vent his anger. He added that all pathetic people are alike. The interlocutor clarified whether the nobleman knew that this would happen. The hero answered that he did not know for sure, but expected that this could happen. Xavier frowned and said that it was an omission, not to prepare for such an outcome in advance. He was surprised that the gentleman did not bother to prepare, although he predicted various situations. The young man looked at the interlocutor and asked him in bewilderment what he was talking about. Lloyd turned around and asked why he needed to prepare if the knight was always nearby. The blonde stared at the brown-haired man in shock. The hero pointed to himself and said that he was walking and talking only because the swordsman was there. This says a lot about his abilities and reliability. The knight winced when the boy asked if he really thought that every 5-year-old boy left alone by a monster invasion could survive the winter without anyone's help. Lloyd smiled and said that such a person could become a knight and was now by his side, so who else should he trust if not him? The interlocutor looked at the gentleman in surprise. They exchanged glances in silence. The hero turned pale and asked the swordsman to say something already, otherwise he would feel ashamed, and goosebumps ran down his skin. The knight swallowed and, looking away, said, "Wow." He thought that he hated himself for considering him a good person. The young man put his hand on his shoulder and